In 1968, a television talk show featuring two epidemiologists discussing potential global pandemics. One scientist explains that while viruses are a concern, a fungal infection, like a mutated cordyceps fungus, could be a greater threat to humanity. He warns that if fungi evolved to survive in higher temperatures, they could infect humans and control their minds, leading to societal collapse. The story then shifts to 2003 in Austin, Texas. Joel Miller is a single father living with his teenage daughter Sarah, and his brother Tommy. On Joel's birthday, Sarah gifts him a repaired watch. That evening, strange events unfold. Reports of violent outbreaks appear on TV, and Sarah notices unusual behavior, like military aircraft flying overhead. That evening, Sarah wakes up to loud noises and finds the neighbor's dog scared and blood splattered in their house. She discovers the infected neighbor attacking others. Joel and Tommy arrive in a truck, and rescue Sarah, and their neighbor behaves erratically. The trio attempts to flee the town. Chaos erupts, infected people, aggressive and fast, attack their community. As Joel, Sarah, and Tommy drive through the chaos, the situation worsens. They witness military checkpoints, people being attacked, and a plane crash that causes massive. They try to escape the chaos. During their escape, their car crashes, and Sarah is injured. While trying to escape on foot, they encounter a soldier who receives orders to shoot them, suspecting they might be infected. The soldier fires, injuring Sarah. Tommy kills the soldier, but Sarah dies in Joel's arms. The story jumps forward to 2023. Civilization has collapsed, and humanity is struggling under the rule of quarantine zones, controlled by the military authority FEDRA. Society is grim and authoritarian. Public executions for breaking rules are common, and resources are scarce. Joel is now a hardened smuggler, working with his partner, Tess, to navigate the QZ's harsh realities. They trade and plan their next move while trying to find a working car battery to search for Tommy, with whom they've lost contact. The Fireflies, a resistance group fighting against FEDRA, hold a young girl named Ellie captive. Joel and Tess meet Marlene, the leader of the Fireflies, resistance group opposing FEDRA. Marlene entrusts Joel and Tess to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of the Boston QZ in exchange for supplies. Joel, Tess, and Ellie sneak out of the QZ at night, avoiding FEDRA patrols. During a confrontation with a FEDRA soldier, Joel reacts violently, killing him to protect Ellie. As they head into Boston's dark, overgrown ruins, the eerie environment hints at the dangers ahead. A flashback to the early days of the cordyceps outbreak in Jakarta, Indonesia, 2003, police summon Professor Ibu Ratna, a mycology expert, to examine a corpse. She identifies the presence of cordyceps fungus inside the body and is alarmed it should not be able to infect humans. Ratna learns the woman was bitten at a grain factory, and several co-workers are missing. She concludes this infection is uncontrollable. In a chilling moment, she advises the military to bomb the city to prevent the spread, fully aware that there is no cure or treatment. In the present, 2023, Joel and Tess discover Ellie has been bitten by an infected but has not turned. She may hold the key to humanity's survival due to her immunity. Tess and Joel are skeptical but decide to move forward. They navigate the ruined city of Boston as they head toward the State House to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies. Joel and Tess learn more about Ellie's immunity. Ellie reveals she was bitten weeks ago and has shown no signs of infection, astonishing them. Joel remains distrustful, while Tess begins to hope Ellie might be key to humanity's survival. As they move through the city, Ellie's curiosity contrasts with the grim reality Joel and Tess are used to. She marvels at her surroundings, having spent her life confined within the quarantine zone. The group encounters eerie silence, flooded streets, and overgrown ruins. Tess explains how the fungus connects infected through a network, likening it to a hive mind. Disturbing one infected can alert others miles away. Inside a dark museum, they face a terrifying encounter with clickers, advanced infected whose fungal growths have blinded them, relying on echolocation to hunt. The scene is tense, with the group desperately trying to remain silent. They barely survive, killing the clickers after a brutal fight. Joel and Tess fight to protect Ellie, who proves her immunity again after being bitten but unaffected. At the Capitol building, they are met with the shocking realization that the Fireflies they were supposed to meet are dead. They find the Fireflies' bodies. Tess reveals she was bitten during the museum fight. Knowing her time is limited, she becomes desperate to ensure Joel takes Ellie to safety. Tess demands that Joel believe in Ellie's immunity, pointing out how extraordinary it is that Ellie hasn't turned despite being bitten. She sees Ellie as the hope for a cure. While navigating through the building, Tess is attacked by a particularly dangerous infected who lunges at her. Joel reacts quickly and shoots the infected, killing it, which initially seems like a close call. However, the situation worsens when they discover that the Capitol building is teeming with more infected. The danger intensifies when a sudden movement reveals that they are surrounded by even more of them. A swarm begins rushing toward them. Realizing she has no chance of survival, Tess convinces Joel to take Ellie and leave. She stays behind to buy them time. Tess douses the building in gasoline and grenades, killing herself and many of the infected, allowing Joel and Ellie to escape. Joel and Ellie continue their journey after Tessa's sacrifice. They trek through a forested area, heading toward Bill's town, a sanctuary Joel knows of. Joel is somber and distant, clearly affected by Tessa's death. Ellie tries to engage him, but he remains stoic. Ellie displays her typical curiosity, asking about the infected and how the outbreak started. Joel explains that the cordyceps fungus likely spread through contaminated food products, like flour, and infected people worldwide within days. As they walk, Ellie and Joel encounter remnants of the pre-apocalypse world. In the woods, they pass a mass grave of civilians who were executed during the early days of the outbreak. Joel explains that the military killed people who couldn't fit into quarantine zones to prevent the spread of infection. The episode then shifts focus to a flashback, telling the story of Bill, a survivalist living in the same small town. 2003. As the outbreak spreads, Bill hides in his well-stocked bunker, watching as the town is evacuated. Once everyone is gone, Bill takes over the town, setting up traps, fences, and a self-sustaining lifestyle. He thrives alone, hunting, gardening, and securing his territory. 4 years later, in 2007, a man named Frank stumbles into one of Bill's traps. Frank is unarmed and starving. Bill reluctantly lets him inside for a meal and a shower. Frank, touched by Bill's hospitality, contacts Joel and Tess via radio, establishing a trade relationship. Joel warns Bill about raiders, advising him to strengthen his defenses. The episode spans years, showing how they survive together, face struggles, and grow old. Years later, raiders attack the town, triggering Bill's traps. Though Bill is injured in the chaos, he and Frank successfully defend their home. By 2023, Frank is seriously ill and wheelchair-bound. Frank, knowing his condition is terminal, the two choose to end their lives together on their terms. Joel and Ellie reach the town, finding it eerily quiet. They discover a letter addressed to Joel. In it, Bill explains his decision and leaves Joel all his supplies, urging him to protect someone worth saving. This resonates deeply with Joel, who sees Ellie as that person, despite his reluctance. Joel and Ellie take a truck, weapons, and supplies from Bill's home. Joel also sets new rules for their journey. Ellie must follow his lead and never bring up Tess again. With their newly acquired truck, Joel and Ellie set off toward Wyoming, where Joel hopes to find his brother, Tommy. Ellie explores a handgun she secretly took from Bill and Frank's house, showing her growing interest in self-defense, though she hides it from Joel. Ellie finds a joke book, no pun intended, Volume 2, and begins reading bad puns to Joel. Initially resistant, Joel eventually cracks a smile, hinting at the start of their bond. The duo drives through abandoned highways and towns, scavenging for supplies. They come across remnants of pre-apocalypse life. Ellie asks Joel about his past and Tommy, learning that Tommy joined the Fireflies but their relationship became strained. Joel and Ellie's journey takes a turn when they enter Kansas City, hoping to pass through the city undetected. They find the highway blocked by wreckage, forcing them into the city streets. A man pretending to be injured lures them into a trap. Joel, suspicious, tells Ellie to buckle her seatbelt and tries to drive away, but the truck crashes after being attacked. Armed scavengers ambush Joel and Ellie. Joel kills several attackers but struggles with one who overpowers him. Ellie, hiding in a wall crack, uses her pistol to shoot the attacker, saving Joel. Ellie's first experience of taking a life leaves her shaken. Though the attacker doesn't die immediately, Joel finishes him off. Joel recognizes the emotional toll it takes on Ellie and acknowledges the harsh reality of their world. Kathleen, the leader of a revolutionary group that overthrew Fedra in Kansas City, is introduced. She is hunting Henry and Sam, two survivors hiding in the city. Kathleen interrogates a captive, demanding information about someone named Henry, whom she blames for her brother's death. She orders the captive's execution and rallies her group to search for Henry. Kathleen and her group find the aftermath of Joel and Ellie's ambush, realizing outsiders are in the city. Joel and Ellie hide in an abandoned building to evade Kathleen's group. They fortify themselves for the night, and Joel teaches Ellie how to properly hold a gun, demonstrating his growing trust in her. Before they sleep, Ellie tells Joel another pun from her joke book. Joel laughs genuinely, breaking down some of his emotional barriers and highlighting the developing father-daughter dynamic. Joel wakes up to find Ellie held at gunpoint by a boy, Sam, while another man, Henry, points a gun at him. These are the people Kathleen has been hunting. The episode begins with a flashback showing the violent overthrow of Fedra in Kansas City. Kathleen's group, the Hunters, has successfully overthrown the oppressive Fedra regime. Fedra soldiers are brutally executed in the streets by the angry citizens, illustrating the chaos and violence of the rebellion. Amid the chaos, Henry and his younger brother, Sam, a deaf boy, hide from the Hunters. Henry is revealed to have collaborated with Fedra, providing information that led to the death of Kathleen's brother, Michael, the former leader of the resistance. This makes Henry the top target of Kathleen's revenge. Henry and Sam hold Joel and Ellie at gunpoint but quickly explain they are not enemies. Henry proposes an alliance, as Joel's combat skills and Henry's knowledge of the city could help them escape. Henry explains his plan to escape Kansas City. Henry reveals that there's a network of maintenance tunnels under the city that can lead them to safety. The tunnels were previously infested with infected, but Fedra had reportedly cleared them out. Joel, still distrustful, reluctantly agrees to help. Knowing it's their best chance to get out of the city, the group ventures into the dark, eerie tunnels. They discover an abandoned community in the tunnels, complete with children's drawings and remnants of a pre-apocalypse settlement. This moment offers a glimpse of the lives people once tried to build underground. Ellie and Sam take a break to play with some old toys and bond further, reminding everyone of the innocence and joy that still exists despite the grim world. Kathleen's group discovers the escape route and begins hunting Henry and the others. Kathleen reveals her obsession with avenging her brother, dismissing Henry's reasons for collaborating with Fedra to save Sam's life. As the group emerges from the tunnels, they are ambushed by a sniper. Joel sneaks into the sniper's house and kills the shooter, only to realize he is working with Kathleen's group. Joel provides covering fire for the others as Kathleen and her forces arrive. Just as the Hunters close in, the ground collapses, unleashing a massive horde of infected, including a bloater, a terrifying, heavily armored infected. Chaos erupts as the infected attack both the Hunters and the group. From the sniper's perch, Joel shoots the infected to protect Ellie as she saves Sam and another child from the attacking infected. As Kathleen corners Henry, an infected child attacks and kills her, ending her quest for revenge. The group finds temporary safety in a motel after escaping the horde. Sam reveals to Ellie that he was bitten during the chaos. He writes a note asking if she thinks people are still themselves after being infected. Ellie, feeling hopeful and responsible, tries to cure Sam by cutting her hand and rubbing her blood on his wound, believing her immunity could save him. She promises to stay awake with him. Ellie wakes to find Sam has turned into an infected and attacks her. In the chaos, Henry shoots Sam to protect Ellie. Overwhelmed with guilt and grief, Henry turns the gun on himself, committing suicide in front of Joel and Ellie. Joel buries Henry and Sam, and Ellie places Sam's writing pad on his grave with the words, "I'm sorry," written on it. The two continue their journey, visibly shaken and scarred by the tragedy. Joel and Ellie visit an isolated cabin inhabited by an older couple. Joel interrogates them for directions, learning they are close to a large river known as the River of Death, where many have been killed by unknown assailants. Joel shows signs of vulnerability and anxiety, briefly clutching his chest. His growing emotional connection to Ellie, coupled with his traumatic past, begins to weigh heavily on him. As they trek through the wilderness, Ellie's playful nature contrasts with Joel's seriousness. She jokes about their situation, trying to lighten the mood. They cross the river of death, wary of potential danger. Joel remains protective, constantly scanning for threats. Joel and Ellie are surrounded by armed riders on horseback. A dog is used to sniff for infection, terrifying Ellie. However, the dog does not detect her bite scar, and the patrol spares them. They are escorted to Jackson, a thriving and well-defended community. Joel reunites with his brother, Tommy, after years of separation. Their emotional embrace highlights the depth of their bond. Joel and Ellie are introduced to Jackson's way of life, where people live relatively normal lives despite the apocalypse. The town has electricity, schools, and a sense of community. Tommy's wife, Maria, welcomes them and provides Ellie with new clothes. Maria, protective of Tommy, is wary of Joel and his history of violence. Maria tells Ellie about Joel's daughter, Sarah, revealing details Joel has kept hidden. Ellie begins to understand Joel's pain and why he is so guarded. Joel asks Tommy to take Ellie to the Fireflies base at the University of Eastern Colorado. Joel admits he feels incapable of protecting Ellie, haunted by past failures and his aging body. Tommy, expecting a child with Maria, is reluctant to risk his life again. He challenges Joel's decision to endanger a child, leading to a heated argument between the brothers. In a rare moment of emotional openness, Joel confesses his fears of failing Ellie. He recounts his nightmares and expresses his belief that Ellie would be safer with Tommy. Ellie learns Joel plans to leave her with Tommy. She confronts him in a powerful, emotional scene. Joel, uncomfortable with the depth of their connection, tries to distance himself emotionally, but Ellie refuses to let him shut her out. The next morning, Joel decides to continue the journey with Ellie instead of leaving her with Tommy. He silently offers her a choice, and Ellie immediately picks him without hesitation. Joel and Ellie arrive at the university, which is overrun by monkeys and abandoned Firefly equipment. They find a map suggesting the Fireflies have relocated to Salt Lake City. The pair are ambushed by raiders. Joel kills one of them but is stabbed in the process. They escape on horseback, but Joel's injury worsens. After fleeing the raiders, Joel collapses from blood loss. Ellie, terrified and unsure how to help, begs him not to die. Ellie manages to drag him to safety, but he is losing blood rapidly and urges Ellie to leave him behind. Ellie refuses to abandon Joel despite his insistence, highlighting her growing attachment to him. The episode transitions to Ellie's past, taking place in the Boston quarantine zone. Ellie is shown as a teenager in Fedra's military training program. She is isolated, struggling to fit in, and frequently gets into fights with other cadets. After a fight with a bully, Captain Kwong, a Fedra officer, talks to Ellie. He encourages her to follow the rules, suggesting she has the potential to rise through the ranks and make a difference within Fedra's system. One night, Ellie is woken up by her best friend, Riley, who has been missing for weeks. Riley reveals she ran away and has joined the Fireflies, a group opposed to Fedra's authoritarian control. Riley invites Ellie to sneak out of the QZ for a night of adventure, promising to show her something special. Though initially hesitant, Ellie agrees. Riley takes Ellie to an abandoned, yet secretly powered, shopping mall outside the quarantine zone. Riley turns on the power, and the two girls explore the wonders of the pre-apocalypse world, experiencing joy and a rare sense of freedom. Riley reveals that this night is her goodbye to Ellie. The Fireflies are sending her to another location, and she wants to spend one last night with Ellie before leaving. Ellie is hurt and angry, accusing Riley of abandoning her. The moment is shattered when an infected, drawn by the noise, attacks them in the mall. Ellie and Riley struggle to fight off the infected, managing to kill it, but both are bitten during the encounter. The realization of their shared fate devastates them. This moment foreshadows Ellie's determination to protect those she loves, as it's clear that losing Riley was a turning point for her. Inspired by her memory of Riley in their final moments, Ellie refuses to abandon Joel. She searches the house for supplies, determined to save him. Ellie finds a needle and thread and stitches Joel's wound, demonstrating her resilience and willingness to fight for him. The episode opens in a snowy, desolate environment where a preacher-like man named David delivers a sermon to a group of starving survivors. They are part of a settlement struggling to survive the harsh winter. A grieving young girl, Hannah, mourns her father, who recently died. David reassures the group that they will endure and survive. Citing scripture, David's second-in-command, James, expresses skepticism about their dwindling food supply. Ellie, with Joel still gravely injured and bedridden, ventures out alone to find food. Joel's condition continues to deteriorate, leaving Ellie increasingly desperate. Ellie spots a deer and shoots it, but the injured animal runs off. She tracks it through the snow, leading her to a chance encounter. Ellie encounters David and James, who are also hunting for food. She holds them at gunpoint and demands they leave, but David calmly proposes a trade, her deer for medicine. David sends James to retrieve penicillin while he stays with Ellie, attempting to gain her trust. They build a fire and wait together. And David shares more about his group. David reveals he was a teacher before the outbreak and found his faith afterward, becoming a leader for his group. He presents himself as kind and fatherly, but his calm demeanor carries an unsettling undertone. Initially wary, Ellie lets her guard down slightly as David continues to talk, trying to connect with her. David reveals he knows about Joel and Ellie. He explains that his group lost men in a violent encounter with men killed by Joel. Ellie realizes David's group is seeking revenge for Joel's actions. James returns with penicillin, and Ellie takes it back to Joel. She administers the medicine, injecting it directly into his wound, despite having no medical training. Her determination to save him is evident. The episode reveals that David's group resorts to cannibalism to survive, though this is hidden from most members. David's control over the group is absolute, and he uses both fear and faith to maintain power. The next day, David and his men track Ellie. She attempts to lead them away from Joel but is captured after killing one of their horses. David orders Ellie to be taken alive, while Joel is to be killed. Despite his weakened state, Joel regains consciousness. When two of David's men search the house, Joel ambushes and kills them. Ellie is locked in a cage at David's settlement. David tries to manipulate her, offering her a place in his group and implying he sees her as a kindred spirit. His behavior becomes increasingly predatory and unsettling. He interrogates a captured man using brutal methods to locate Ellie, showing the lengths he'll go to protect her. Ellie resists David, spitting in his face when he tries to touch her. She realizes the extent of his depravity and plots her escape. Fueled by rage and desperation, Joel infiltrates David's settlement. He kills several of David's men in his search for Ellie, showing his ruthless side. David attempts to assault Ellie, but she fights back fiercely. In a tense and brutal confrontation, Ellie kills David with a knife, repeatedly stabbing him in a fit of rage and terror. Joel arrives just as Ellie stumbles out of the building, covered in blood and traumatized. He embraces her, calling her baby girl, a term he once used for his daughter, Sarah. This moment solidifies their bond as a surrogate father-daughter pair. The episode begins with a flashback showing Anna, Ellie's mother. Anna is pregnant and infected. Anna gives birth to Ellie while fighting off an infected attacker. She is bitten during the struggle, realizing she has little time left. Before succumbing, she cuts the umbilical cord and cradles Ellie, suggesting her immunity might have originated from this moment. Marlene, a close friend of Anna and leader of the Fireflies, arrives too late to save her. Anna pleads with Marlene to take care of Ellie and kill her to prevent her turning. Marlene reluctantly fulfills Anna's request. In the present, Ellie appears quiet and distant, still processing the trauma from her encounter with David. Joel tries to engage her with jokes and stories, but she remains distracted. The pair arrive in Salt Lake City, the final leg of their journey. Joel is noticeably more talkative and warm, suggesting his deepened bond with Ellie. Ellie spots a giraffe, and Joel helps her feed it. This moment of innocence and awe provides a rare reprieve from the harshness of their world. It rekindles Ellie's joy, momentarily lifting the weight of their journey. After the encounter, Ellie reaffirms her resolve to see their mission through, despite Joel's growing hesitation. As they walk, Joel reveals that he attempted suicide after Sarah's death but failed. He credits Ellie for giving him a renewed sense of purpose, solidifying their father-daughter bond. The two are ambushed by fireflies and knocked unconscious. Joel wakes up in a hospital, where Marlene explains that Ellie is being prepped for surgery. Marlene reveals that the doctors believe Ellie's immunity stems from a cordyceps infection in her brain. However, extracting it will kill her. Marlene argues that Ellie's death could save humanity, but Joel is horrified. Refusing to let Ellie die, Joel embarks on a violent mission to rescue her. He kills Firefly soldiers and staff in a ruthless rampage through the hospital, driven by love and desperation. Joel reaches the operating room and kills the lead surgeon when he tries to stop him. He carries Ellie, unconscious from the anesthesia, out of the hospital. Joel encounters Marlene in the parking garage. She begs him to reconsider, arguing that Ellie would want to sacrifice herself to save humanity. Joel shoots and kills Marlene, ensuring she cannot come after them. He coldly states, "You just come after her," before finishing her off. As Ellie wakes up, Joel lies to her, claiming the Fireflies had stopped searching for a cure and that others like her had failed. He omits the truth about his actions and Marlene's death. Ellie seems skeptical but does not press Joel further at this point. As they near Jackson, Ellie shares her survivor's guilt, recounting how everyone she's cared about has died or left her. She questions whether Joel's story is true. Ellie asks Joel to swear that everything he told her about the Fireflies is true. Joel looks her in the eyes and swears. After a pause, Ellie says, "Okay," though her expression suggests lingering doubt. The screen cuts to black, ending the season. If you enjoyed diving deep into the story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated.